Can I just say also that seeing those remarks from Trump live in the hallway, obviously the circumstances are now different. He's now the first ever American president, former president, to be convicted of crimes. He's now a different type of figure in history than he was half an hour ago. And yet he walks up to the camera and he just says all of the same stuff that he's been saying all of this time. It's all of the same stuff. He's like a chatty Cathy doll. You pull the string and the words come out and they're pre-programmed. His saying that it's rigged, he was saying it was rigged before the verdict ever came in. These are all the same lines that he's been using all before the jury was picked. The whole and he said that the 2020 election was rigged before he competed in the 2020 election. He said the 2016 election was rigged before he competed in that election. This is a thing that he says he's just the same person. Nothing about this is going to change him. But he and his supporters are trying to change us as a country by delegitimizing the legal system of the United States of America because it has found Donald Trump guilty, because the legal system indicted him, because he was put on trial, because he's now been found guilty. They have been using that as their excuse to try to not just upend the American legal system, but to get rid of it, to make Americans believe that it shouldn't be followed. And so the test here, yes, individual tests abound. This jury process was a test. The appellate process will be a test. The sentencing process is an adversarial process, and that itself will be a test. But the test for us as a country starts right now. Does the United States of America have a legal system that is binding on all citizens? Do we accept it? Do we protect the people who enact it? There are human beings at every step of this process who are flesh and blood and who have family members and who are susceptible to threat and injury. Do we protect them? Do we protect Fani Willis? Do we protect Tish James? Do we protect Alvin Bragg? Do we protect this judge and his family? Do we protect the jurors? Do we protect the witnesses? Do we protect Jack Smith? Do we protect Judge Cannon? Do we protect Judge Chutkan? Do we make sure that the people who are in charge of enacting this on our behalf as citizens and on Donald Trump's behalf as a citizen, do we make sure that they can do this work both without fear or favor and without threat? And we have failed on that so far. We need to step up our protection of the human beings in this process tonight in response to this verdict.
I mean, Rachel, I think we have the answer to a swath of the country, right? I mean, Trump has run against this judge. And I have to say, we don't know because he wasn't acquitted, but had he been acquitted, you can imagine, you can go back to his response to the end of the Mueller probe when Bill Barr distorted Mueller's findings. Yes. And Donald Trump didn't. He went to a more general attack of the Russia hoax, but he didn't indict the entire process because he felt it exonerated him. I think we have our answer that 30% of the country won't protect those people. Right. And I think that what we have to stare at the sun, I feel like I'm making too many Trump references here, thinking of him in the eclipse, but what we have to stare at, and it's hard, and it may do damage, is the fact that Shamos and Ruby Freeman, that's their blueprint. Yeah. That's their model. What they did to the election officials is what they've sought to do to Fani Willis. It's what they've sought to do to Jack Smith. Yes. It's what they did to Anthony Fauci. They have a playbook. And their tweets aren't just stupid burps of Trump's, insane impulses. They're orders. Don't take my word for it. Ask the Proud Boys. Ask the people that went to the Capitol on January 6th. People follow his orders. And I'll quote him. What he just said was, this was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial. We didn't get a venue change. We're at 5% in this, he said, district, but I think he meant, I don't know what he meant. He said, I'm an innocent man. This was a Biden administration prosecution. Our country's gone to hell. We are a nation in decline. There are terrorists and people from mental institutions flooding in. We have our answer on what 30% of the country thinks. And
your vision of what he's offering you. And we are a nation in decline. We're a nation that is a disgrace. We're a nation that has no rule of law, where everything is rigged. He said this trial is rigged. This country is rigged. That's the vision that we're offering here. I mean, if the rule of law, if court orders and the judgment of juries is delegitimized in this country, what do we have left? What do you have if you don't have that? If the country is being conditioned along partisan lines to reject court orders, to reject jury verdicts, to reject the legal process as rigged, as illegitimate, as non-constitutional, What do we have when those things are no longer respected by the population? What's left? We all know the answer to this, and it's never been clearer than it is today. But the rule of law exists in this country. It came to this verdict today. And, you know, at this point, again, thank you to the jurors. Thank you to this judge. Thank you to all the court security officers and the witnesses and everybody they and their family members had to walk into the belly of the beast to do this. But this is the system working in a fair way for a citizen among us like any other.